I can vividly remember the first time I ever played with a cube. I must have been 3 or 4. Its stickers were dilapidated from all of the peeling I did. I can vividly remember being so fascinated by the complexity of the puzzle and the beauty of its colors. I had no idea that in 10 years or so, this toy, this cube, would change my life. As a kid, skateboarding was my everything. I spent so much time outside skating with friends in the hot California sun. It brought me so much joy. I never put much thought into the complexities of growing up, of sad thoughts, or change. In my mind, I was going to be a kid forever, and I would always be the happy skater version of myself. But everything changed in the summer of 2009. I was almost 14 years old when my mom remarried to a winemaker, and we moved out east to live on the vineyard with him. It was a complete 180 from everything I've grown up to know, from my identity. Right away, I realized that skateboarding was almost non-existent in this new place. Everything got even harder when we moved into our home deep in the Blue Ridge Mountains. The roads were chunky, and friends were just a thing of the past. It was at that time when I started to retreat inwards. Once the summer was over, it was time to begin the 9th grade. I would be attending Washington High School in Charlestown, West Virginia, and right off the bat, I hated the school. It felt more like a prison than a school. I was so lonely the first few days. At a measly 4 feet 10 inches and 90 pounds, I got bullied a lot, and I didn't have anything to ease the pain. For the past 8 or 9 years or so up until this point, I'd always had a video camera in my hand, and I always took home videos and just videos of whatever I thought was interesting. And I did that a lot in West Virginia, and it got me through some hard times. I filmed as much skateboarding as I could, even though it was pretty sad. And I filmed a lot in my bedroom in an attempt to cure my endless boredom.
I'm so bored. Hello? I'm bored. Oh my god, I'm so bored right now. Hey, did I mention I'm bored?
Everything changed one fall day that year. Most of my days were spent at the vineyard as my parents were heavily involved with it. I made friends with a boy whose mother tended to the horses on the farm. His name was Robert, and I don't know if he realizes how much he changed my life. One day we went to his house. It was my first time going there, and he was so stoked to show me his Lego collection. After he showed me his house and his room, there was something on a shelf that caught my eye. It was a 4x4 Rubik's Cube, and that cube changed the course of my life. I asked him if I could play with it, and he said yes. It was so fun to turn, I couldn't put it down, probably to Robert's annoyance. I was reminded of that first cube I used to play with, and it gave me the same feeling that skateboarding used to give me. For days, I couldn't stop thinking about the cube. As soon as I was able to, I asked my mom if she could take me to the Walmart so I could get a Rubik's Cube. When I got home and was able to play with it, I was so excited. I was familiar with the reputation the Rubik's Cube had, and I told myself that I was going to commit myself to doing something very few people had done. I was going to learn how to solve it, and I wasted no time. I pulled up Dan Brown's video on YouTube and worked through the steps. To my surprise, however, the cube had solved itself before I'd even finished the last 4 steps or so. Without knowing it, my first solve had been a last layer skip. So when I tried to solve it again, I was confused why it wasn't working. I was frustrated and put the cube down and didn't touch it for months, unaware as to how rare my first solve was. Christmas came and went, and shortly after, the biggest snowstorm to hit the east in recent years plowed through. The storm became known as Snowmageddon and took me out of school for 2 whole weeks. At first, I was so stoked to be out of school for so long, but after a few days, the novelty wore off, and I was bored out of my mind yet again. In my quest to cure my boredom, I came across a 3x3 Rubik's Cube that remained unsolved and decided to give it another try. Taking time off had been a good thing because I was able to properly finish the tutorial and retain the information needed to solve the cube. I did it. I learned how to solve it. For the first few weeks, I had my notes with me for my solves, but eventually, the beginner's method became ingrained in my head, and I never went anywhere without a cube in my hand. I started bringing my cube with me to school, and to my surprise, most people thought it was pretty cool. Sure, there were still some people who picked on me for it, but I didn't really care. I found something I could put my energy and intention into. I didn't have to sit through class dreaming about a life I couldn't have. I was now able to spend my time on this new passion and not have to worry about anything else. A few weeks after learning how to solve the 3x3, I decided to get a 4x4 Rubik's Revenge like the one Robert had. I also got the 5x5 Rubik's Professor Cube as well. Learning the big cubes was so much fun. Whenever my mom dragged me around to some boring place or to the art gallery she was working at, I was hard at work learning the 4x4 and the 5x5, with the help from a Rob's World tutorial. I can still remember the purple from his Ishin 4 and 5. Cubing felt new and magical to me. I was having so much fun with this new passion of mine. I soon came to learn that there were official Rubik's Cube competitions and that anyone was welcome to compete. And there was a competition happening in April in Baltimore, Maryland, and I was going to attend. I was so nervous when we arrived at the venue. My stomach hurt so bad. I remember walking into the competition room, which was the cafeteria at a school, and being hit with the enormous sound of Rubik's Cubes clicking, and I was scared to be around other very fast cubers.
Yeah. Dude, that guy is insane. Ooh. That guy is killer.
I couldn't find anywhere to sit, so I approached a table with some other young kids and asked if I could sit with them. They said yes, and we instantly started cubing together. The table was filled with so many cubes of different shapes and sizes. This was the first time I was around other cubers. It felt really cool to me to see other people interested in the same thing I was, and it made me feel less lonely in some ways. Unfortunately, everyone that I met lived far away, and I wasn't able to become good friends with any of them. The first year of school was over. My mom had bought me the V-Cube set, which consisted of the 5x5, 6x6, and 7x7 as an early birthday present. Once summer began, my stepbrother Arthur came to the US to spend summer with his dad. He was living in Martinique with his mom. I shared with him my new passion for speedcubing, and he also became hooked. Arthur, however, gravitated toward the 2x2 cube. My stepdad bought him a white 2x2 as well as some CubeSmith stickers. We spent the whole summer cubing, day in, day out. Having someone to cube with on a daily basis was huge for me, as up until this point living in West Virginia, I'd felt so alone. I had learned F2L in the spring and was adopting 2-look OLL and PLL. I had achieved my first 19-second solve in April and was averaging consistently in the low 20s toward the summer's end. And then, in the blink of an eye, summer was over. Arthur was returning to Martinique, and school was beginning again. The first day of school sent me down a dark and lonely depression, the first of its kind I had ever felt, and the strongest I felt to this day. The past year's worth of loneliness, change, and sadness hit me all at once. I was having a really tough time getting through my first weeks of school. I couldn't stop crying. I wasn't eating or sleeping. I was really, really sad. But through all of this sadness, I had my cubes, and I played with them as much as I could to keep the sadness at bay. It wouldn't be until November that the cloud of sadness would begin to pass. After over a year of living here, I finally made a real friend. 2, actually. Nathan and AJ became my new best friends. They were stepbrothers just like Arthur and I, and they were separated by 1 year of age. Nathan and I rode the school bus together, and once we learned how close we lived to each other, we became buddies. We played tons of Call of Duty, filmed all sorts of silly videos, and solved tons of cubes. I taught both of them how to solve 3x3s and 2x2s, and they became hooked on them as well. Cubing was a huge part of what drew them to me, as they thought it was cool how fast I could solve them. It felt so good to finally have best friends, and we spent most every day together after school hanging out, and of course, solving cubes. In December of 2010, I auditioned for the school talent show. My act was going to be solving 4 Rubik's Cubes to a techno song I heard in a cubing video. I was so nervous. When I got on stage, I cringily asked if I could get some mixers. One of the girls instantly popped one of my cubes. This was a time before torpedoes. I was mortified and embarrassed. But I knew that the show must go on, and the chance of me having to take the cube apart was now 50-50. So I took the chance.
loving it too.
I successfully solved all 4 cubes without having to flip pieces, and the crowd lost it. Many of the kids who made fun of me now became my biggest fans. Many of the kids in my school who were already nice to me gave me props, and from that point on, I became known as the Cube at my school. It made me feel so happy and appreciated. I even got the loudest applause from any act that night. And with the talent show behind me, I'd finally started to come out of my depression after 2 years. I honestly believe that if it were not for Speedcubing, my life would have gone down a completely different path. I was so sad, scared, lonely, and I didn't see an end to any of it. But cubing gave me a reason to keep pushing through the hardships, and it made me a better person. Speedcubing, well and truly, saved my life.
This whole experience has changed my life a lot.
Thank you so much for watching. This video took me months to make, and I am so glad I was able to share it with you. I hope you were able to find something valuable from it. If you guys want to see a part 2, which continues the story into my adult life, please let me know by leaving a comment down below and liking the video. Thanks!